All right, guys. I'm gonna get started.
Sure, smart. Yeah. I don't know if you...
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock on the dot, and this is the regular meeting of the Kaneland Board of Education. We'd like to inform all board member attendees that this meeting is being live streamed and archived for access at any time by our community members on the internet within 24 to 48 hours of the meeting's conclusion. Mr. McCoy, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And a roll call, please.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
Dr. Lawler.
Here.
Mr. McCauley.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons. Here. Mr. Kleisner is absent.
All right, with 6 members present, we do have a quorum. Mr. Kleisner wrote me and said he's running late. He got caught in traffic, so he should be walking in any time now. Okay, is there anything the board would like to move from consent to new business? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to amend the agenda to add the Illinois Open Meetings Act 2 C11 litigation to the closed session portion of the meeting. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
All right, 6-0, the agenda is approved as amended. It's now time for the board/superintendent salutes, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Layden.
Yes, thank you. Our first one, I'd like to acknowledge and recognize Mr. Rollman through the athletic department. He'll share in a second some of our acknowledgments that we have, and a lot of the work and the volunteers and the community that goes into a lot of our activities, specifically the Eddington. So if you please, David, if you please join us. And first of all, thank you for your work and your dedication. There's a lot of athletic departments that have the opportunity to host home events, and it's hard to get workers, it's hard to get officials, it's hard to do that. And Mr. Rollman almost always says yes. We can host, our kids do well at home, they like to have home games, so the fact that he's going to do that has been fantastic for us. So with that, thank you for your work before you acknowledge others. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Dr. Layden. I obviously get to do a great job every single day. I have a tremendous team. Our assistant athletic directors, John Pavlak, Stephanie Douglas, and Brock Feast, and then Stephanie kind of does double duty because she not only does the assistant AD in the spring, but she's our ticket manager, she is our office professional, and we get way more out of her than I'm sure we recognize sometimes. So I wanted to share a few things about Eddington, and as Dr. Layden and I were talking recently, we were both big fans of Sports Illustrated back in the day. 2 things in particular, they used to do a by the numbers column. I always enjoyed that, and then the Rick Riley column in the back. And so I thought tonight for Eddington, I'd give you some by the numbers. The course, which obviously had to be adjusted as our track progress continues. We've added the jumps area. We had a lot of new sod down. We weren't certainly going to run through that, so we adjusted our course. But our coaches worked very hard. All of our runners still ran 2.93 miles that day. Even our lower levels that day, we made some adjustments. Our grounds crew had to cut new paths and cut back trees and things of that nature, so there's a lot going into changing a course like that. I would be remiss if I didn't say this all happens because we have 4 amazing paid coaches, and once again we have an alumni, a very accomplished alumni back with us as well as a volunteer. So none of this happens without all the work that they're doing before and after practices. We had 6 races that day because of the heat. We shrunk them and went to 4, but they were timed as 6 separate races, is what we do for Eddington every year. There were 28 IHSA schools that visited our campus that day, 28 different schools that represented 54 teams. We had fresh soft teams, we had varsity girls and boys, and then we had co-ed open races as well. So a lot of students. There were 81, this is the number that I want to highlight here. I'm sure that we've probably missed some in our count, but we have scoured our records and we came up with 81 individuals who either have a paid part as part of our district or they are volunteer, and a majority of these 81 excuse me, are volunteers. But we had 81 individuals help put this event on. This is the 54th time that Kaneland High School has held the Larry Eddington Invite, and it just simply doesn't happen unless you have 80 plus volunteers to do that. So some tremendous people we have people that group and take care of our volunteers. The minute you come on campus, whether you are a spectator or a coach or a bus driver, you are greeted by a volunteer, you are helped all day by a volunteer, and we help you get back on the bus and back to the roads and on your way home safely. So it is a continuous effort. It starts weeks, if not months, before the event. Mrs. Douglas actually started today working on invitations for next year's. So it is constantly an ongoing thing, but again, it's fantastic. So Saturday the 21st, we hosted 1,025 runners on our course. If you ever get a chance, take a look at some of Sarah's photography. I'm sure she's got some great pictures from the start of some of these races. Cross country is an exciting sport that I had to learn, and 1,000 kids, and obviously not 1,000 all at once, but 1,000 kids lined up and ready to come down that first chute is something to watch. We also want to notice that based on about 2.5 people per car is our estimate, we had over 1,500 spectators on our campus that day, just for cross country. So a big kudos to all of our volunteers. Many of them would hate for me to even point them out in public, but we get a tremendous amount of volunteers, and that's why we're so successful at Kaneland High School. So, I also wanted to put together a few updates for you. We do have officially 346 fall student athletes, and I'm sorry if I'm a little out of breath, but today alone we had tennis going on. We had senior night for soccer, so we have 2 soccer matches. We have a JV football game. The band was warming up probably by 3:30 today, and they were practicing nice and loud as I was driving off of campus. We had powder puff teams practicing on the far field today. We had runners running all over the place. We had golfers out at Hughes Creek practicing for the regionals, which are this week. And if you ever get a chance, just come out on a day where you may not know if we have an event or not. It is amazing to see what takes place behind the school on any given day during the week. It's an amazing, inspirational time to sit there and just, sometimes I'll be honest, I just stop and I just look around. There's, again, homecoming week, so there's additional things going on this week, but it's amazing. I did want to highlight a few things. Tomorrow, our DECA group is taking about 40 kids up to Rosemont to a leadership conference. Our DECA group has grown by leaps and bounds over the last 2 years. Like I said, we've got over 40 kids involved in that. Our homecoming parade will be this week on the 2nd in Elburn with a 5:30 start, and then back to the stadium for Powder Puff football. And many people have been asking me all day, what's going on with the track? Can we get to the field? We can get to the field. We've got a very small area that we go back and forth so we don't harm the thick layer of the track surface that has been put down. They do anticipate being done by the end of day tomorrow or early on Wednesday with that first thick layer of the track surface. And then they'll come back next week when football goes on the road again to spray that final layer before we get to paint. But I do want to thank our architects and Mr. Payton and his whole crew. We just somehow, and of course the weather helps too, but we just have been able to get from one place to another while all this work is continuing to go on. So a lot of progress going. Of course, Sycamore comes to town on Friday for football. We'll play at 5 and 7:30 in the stadium, and we'll recognize many of our homecoming traditions on that night as well. Then the dance is on Saturday, sponsored by our student council. Our performing arts boosters are going to be providing and selling concessions to our kids that night, and Two Little Monkeys will be providing photography. So it's going to be a great event for our kids on Saturday night. On the 7th, even though our teams are going to be involved in regional golf this week, we are hosting the boys sectional golf at Hughes Creek next Monday in the morning, so if you want to come out. Then we have football again at the end of the year. That'll be senior night is the 18th of October, so we'll recognize football, cheer, dance, and marching band as well on that senior night. Again, we recognized senior soccer players tonight. Many of our other sports do their own individual senior nights. We had one last week for tennis, which was fantastic. Each tennis player got to pick a doubles partner, usually a teacher or a parent, and it was amazing how competitive some of our teachers were during that event. So, and then the 25th through the 27th of October, our theater department is putting on the Radium Girls. I do want to put a shout out to Joe Salchert and Savo Walker. They have taken over the management of our auditorium, and they have done a tremendous job in getting things ready to go in our auditorium, and it's amazing how much progress they've made. And then back to our course, our cross-country course on the 2nd of November, because we will have the sectional boys and girls cross-country meets. Only 2 races, but a lot more runners and a lot more at stake, because you have to run through Kaneland to get to state the following weekend. So a lot of things going on. I'm not sure if you had a chance to pass those out, but at the end, I did attach to you, I just ran a report quick before I ran over just the events that are taking place in the next 30 days on our campus. It's 5 pages of events. So again, it is my privilege to be the athletic and activities director, and it is just amazing how many people that participate on a daily basis to make all of these things happen, including all those parents that are driving kids back and forth, and the kids themselves. We have tremendous participation for our school our size, and I love going to the AD meetings and bragging about that. So thank you, Dr. Layden, and thank you, school board, for allowing us to talk to you about that.
Thank you. And if you recall, Mr. Rollman will be back, I think, the board meeting in December, and he'll share updates on how all of the fall teams went. And one of those highlights is, of course, seeing Mr. Rollman again, but our students that come up and present on behalf of their teams as well. And so that's the first of the 2 salutes. The second one, Dr. Roll Wing, to make sure I keep my Rollmans and my Roll Wing separate. If you would, please, could you share a salute that we have on behalf of several of our staff members?
Yeah, and on behalf of Dr. Atkins, saluting kind of the unsung heroes that sometimes make our kids' days and make things run smoothly in our schools. Our lunch supervisors, recess supervisors, crosswalk attendants, and in-district mail deliverers that kind of make things happen. So if you are a member of any of those groups, please stand. All right. So that work doesn't go unnoticed, and they, like I said, they really kind of make things smooth for the rest of us. So thank you very much.
I'll be honest, so I watch mine at my school, and at least the crosswalk attendant, and it is a thankless job. They deal with a lot of stuff, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for what they do. So thank you for the time out there, rain or shine, snow, rain. They're out there protecting our kids, protecting our families. So, and that's not just the cross, but everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are our salutes, so thank you, and thanks to our staff. You noticed that as Dr. Rollwing and Mr. Rollman gave those updates, a lot of it was people-related. There is stuff related, and there are accomplishments, but a lot of it's about our people here in Kaneland, so thank you for sharing. That's all we had for salutes.
Is that it for salutes? Okay, well, at this time, I'm going to invite anyone who would like to leave. This is an open meeting, and you are welcome to come and go as you please. We'd love you to stay, but no obligation. We get that you have families, and we're going to proceed into the business part of this meeting, so feel free to come and go as you'd like. So tonight's consent agenda contains the following information. approval of accounts payable and payroll September 2024, approval of the minutes from September 9th, 2024 regular meeting, and approval of personnel, as well as the following informational items: the student suspension and data report, field trip notification, approval of the 2023-2024 administration and teacher salary benefits report for Fox Valley Career Center, approval of board expenses for the joint annual conference, and that's it. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent items as listed.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, we're going to proceed to public comments. We do have someone signed up tonight, so I will read the spiel. We use the public comment section as an opportunity to listen to our stakeholders. The board does not debate or engage in conversation during this time. I'd like to remind everyone to state your name and village of residence for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Public comment is a maximum of 30 minutes with a 20-minute total length of time for any one subject. Those who speak are asked to maintain a tone of courtesy and civility. At this time, I will call Laura Ekstrom to the microphone.
Hi, everybody. My name's Laura Ekstrom. I live in the village of Virgil, which is all the way on the north side of the district, in case you didn't know. I came to talk about the great school that is the Ignite Academy Kipla. I now have 2 students that go to Kipla, a 3rd grader and a 4th grader. It's my daughter's 2nd year there as a 4th grader. And I have heard a lot of kind of misconceptions in the community and from different people lately about how like this personalized learning model is like a brand new thing and why are we investing in this, that kind of thing. And I kind of wanted to come here, and I've done a lot of like my own research and looking at different things out there in the world, and there are a lot of schools that do this like separate, in public schools that do this separate program type thing in other states. So Minnesota and Wisconsin and Missouri being like the surrounding areas, states that have a lot of schools that have this kind of program in it, and they're super successful there. And they do kind of the same where they do elementary all the way through high school, and I know we're looking at possibly doing that high school expansion. And so I just wanted to come and kind of give some information to inform, and just this school has been so great for my students. My daughter, I was just talking to Mrs. Garland. She's involved in, my daughter is involved in leading tours for the school, and it being her 2nd year there, they're bringing some of the teachers from the local elementaries around to kind of see what the model is. And my daughter's 2nd grade teacher came on one of the tours and commented like, who is this student? Like, she was so quiet, it didn't talk to anyone, and like kept to herself, and now she's like blossomed into this like leader in her classroom. So it's so cool to see like our students really like coming into their own person at this school, and they're given that freedom to do that. And then I also got to go on one of these tours, which was really cool, and I met a couple of other parents who are looking at our school. And once again, I talked to a parent who is outside of the district currently, they're looking to move into our district specifically because of this program. So they're currently in, I think, Oswego or Montgomery School District, and they're looking at moving into the Kaneland School District because we have this program in our district, and none of the other surrounding districts do. So I just think that's really awesome and a great speaking point for our school. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Okay. She was the only one signed up. I want to remind everybody that there's a second opportunity for public comment near the end of the meeting. So feel free to sign up if you'd like to speak. Okay, we will proceed then on to new business. The first item of new business is the Caneville Fire Protection Update. Dr. Layden.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to Chief Tyndall, who was able to come out tonight and share an update. In August, if you recall, there was a extensive update that Chief Tyndall shared, and there were other first responders that were here, and also came to the podium to answer questions. And one of the questions that our board had at a follow-up meeting was, can we continue to get the updates? Can we continue to get more information? So we do have Chief Tyndall here tonight, and then we also have him scheduled for the October 28th board meeting. So we'll continue to schedule those out to be able to get the updates regularly, to see what new information you have to share and what questions our board has for Chief Tyndall. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chief, and you can share some updates and see what questions we might have.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. It's great to be here. I like being involved with the public, working with people. That was one of always my downfalls that I had was they're like, you're too introverted. You need to learn to speak and whatever else. So the best way to do it is always get up in front of people, right? So here I am again. Thanks for having me. The last meeting that we had when I presented, it was the same night as the ambulance topic for the department that was going to donate it to us. We had our meeting, and of course you can see behind, our board decided to do the right thing too, and they accepted it. So we've put the ambulance, still working with the system to get it up and running in service. We've had our guys training on it since the August 28th when it was delivered, that we had for it. Submitted the paperwork, we've got the equipment. Some of the equipment just to keep the system happy, because they're concerned with, you know, we don't want you running on calls, and we're like, we know we're not taking it on calls yet till you guys approve it. So we'll keep some of the stuff off. For the picture, we put the cot back in there though, so that we can have it. So if they see that, they'll be like, are you running calls? We're like, we're not running calls. But anyways, the good stuff, as you can see, ambulance, we got it striped. That was the biggest expense that we've put out so far. Everything else that we've had, manpower, ambulance itself has been donated by Oswego Fire Protection District. We have a cardiac monitor that was donated by the Chicago Fire Department that we have, so that's a $50,000, $60,000 piece of equipment. We don't run it as the full capabilities yet, but all of our guys will be able to use it for capnography, SpO2, your blood pressure, your pulse ox, EKG rhythms that we have for it, and if we need to defibrillate, we'll defibrillate. We won't be able to pace, we won't be able to cardiovert yet, but that's coming within that year. So we have high expectations for our guys. So to get them to that point, we're offering another EMT class, so another opportunity. So EMT course will be starting December 2nd. We'll have it done by March 1st. We're going to open it up to area surrounding departments, and we've already had interest from some of the areas going, hey, we want some more EMTs, and that's the first step to becoming a paramedic. So we're working with that. We've met with the system, with all the other chiefs as well, because the chiefs that were here were just a little bit of the partnership that we have with it. All the Kane chiefs were all together in it, so we've worked with the system to do an accelerated paramedic program. They're looking at a 10-month one versus, usually it's about a year and a half. We can get it done in about 10 months. They did one just to see and pushed it 7 months. They said that's too short of a time, so they can do a 10-month one. So once we get everybody through the EMT course, and as they develop, then we'll get the paramedic course that we can get guys into. Some of the other fun stuff that we're doing, the staffing for our station, which has no living quarters, so that's always fun. But we're doing daytime staffing right now, and we're working on plans for the future. I can't share everything just yet because I got to get the board's blessing on all that, but there are going to be exciting things coming, probably hopefully in the next 6 months. But our staffing that we've done daytime from August through the end of right now, and going to continue on from 7 o'clock till 5 o'clock, has decreased the response times that we've had. So we've had better response times currently by the statistics that I show by at least 3 minutes. So we're able to push that out. That's why I think we've had one other call to the school, plus the one right before school started that we were able to get on scene in 4.5 minutes in that ballpark. So the goal nationally is always 4-minute response times for structure fires and cardiac events, because if you can get to somebody in a cardiac event, the first 4 to 6 minutes is critical. So we're pushing that. We're working on other programs with the school district in the Fox Valley Career Center, with working on the cardiac emergency response plan, some CERT programs. One of the concerns I think that The Fox Valley Career Center said with some of the programs they have was they weren't dual certifications, or some of the students got a lot of good info but couldn't get certified in things. I'm like, we can help with that. So the fire district can help sponsor the fire science program. We can help with cert programs for the law enforcement kids or fire science kids or the EMT kids, which will help them in any public avenue they want, whether they want to go into Office of Emergency Management or just emergency management, work on the FEMA scale so they can respond to national emergencies, or if they want to just do law enforcement, then it will help with the integration of that, same with the fire science. So those are the other fun programs that we like to do. And then at the end of next month, so October, so in a day, at the end of that month on the 29th, we're doing a multi-department drill at Kaneland and the Fox Valley Career Center. So it will involve Sheriff's Office, the Northwest Delnar Hospital, Southern Fox System, Elburn, Maple Park, Sugar Grove, Caneville itself, and then Big Rock also. And then Hinkley's been invited, and a couple other area places. Office of Emergency Management may bring some stuff out, so if anybody sees anything out there, it's us running a drill, unless we say it's not. But it will be us, so that's one of the things that we wanted to show between the fire side and the law enforcement side of things, is how much real estate that all the fire apparatus takes up, but also when you have a large-scale event, how much real estate the law enforcement guys take and show up. When I responded to Henry Pratt, the guys were surprised because they seen Chicago Police Department officers there. It's like, well, they responded on their own, but everybody from the feds, ATF, FBI, and the Chicago bomb squad that showed up were on our request for things. So yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of resources that are coming to certain events, and if certain bad things happen, then we need to see how much stuff's going to be there so we can imagine how we have to work things out. So the law enforcement guys, when I was on their side, two big things that I told them was, don't block everything up so we can't get any fire apparatus or ambulances through, and definitely don't park in front of hydrants, right? So they always like to do that, park in front of the hydrants, run into the house, and open it up to vent it so we can find it because it's a big fire by then. So we tell them, don't do that. Park across the street, spotlight the hydrant with your spotlight so you can find it easy at night, or just you're across the street and I can say there's a hydrant down there because I see the squad car and I can find it easy enough, and leave me a path that I can get my apparatus in. And then the same for the EMS guys. Don't get in the way of being the evidence eradication team for the law enforcement side of stuff. Help them out so we can do that and we can work together. So this drill is going to be a quick start walkthrough. So we've practiced it before with the guys with rescue task force situations. We're going to partner up now with the law enforcement and do rotational groups to get everybody through in conjunction with hopefully we will have a summertime 2025 full-scale drill that we're working on with Dr. Bogdan. So other than that, if there's any questions anybody has.
So right now, you guys are staffed, you said from 5 to 7, or excuse me, 7 to 5.
7 to 5 in station.
Okay, in station.
Yeah, we're staffed 24, so if we had a call right now, then they would still respond. So that's glad you brought that up. So we don't have the living quarters, so we can't stay the night per se. But since we've started the staffing, the guys have bought into it a lot. They're excited about it. So they have the regular day duties that they have to do. I've caught them there about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night still doing training, because some of the guys that have to work are starting to feel left out. So they come in as soon as they get off work and start doing the training with the guys that have been there all day. The other day we had a call, 10 o'clock at night, guys were still in the station hanging around. So it's more than just staffing it, that now they want to hang around the station and be there all the time because they want to make sure that they can get that apparatus out the door and have a good response time, because they see the big picture of it too. So
Sure.
So yeah, so it's just certain hours, probably after 10 and 7 in the morning-ish.
Okay.
Nobody may be staying there, but I've caught some guys up there because they work in the afternoon and they can't sleep, so they come in and they hang out. So.
And the ambulance going into service, the projected timeline?
That's hard to say. I'm hoping soon. We've got the paperwork that we filed with the system and the state. They've sent some information back, so I'm finishing that up, resubmitting it while they're working on some other things for us that we need. And then once we get that, we'll have it inspected and it'll be in service the same day. So I'm hoping that it's relatively soon, but it depends on the states. The state's usually the one that has the harder schedule because they go around everywhere throughout the state to do inspections.
Sure.
So, but yeah, as soon as I find out, then I'll let Dr. Layden know or, so.
Thank you. And you can also just share when you come for updates as well. One question I had, the EMT training that goes on through March, does that take place at your fire station?
We're gonna host it, at our fire station, at
Okay.
Big Rock Fire Station, and also at the Fox Valley Career Center. So we're gonna rotate it between the three of them. And then if there's certain, aspects of it, so usually we do an auto extrication, some hazmat things, then we may host that offsite with, either Elburn or Sugar Grove or Maple Park.
Okay.
So, but those are the three main sites we're planning on using.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions, Board? Thank you so much for the update. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, this item was purely informational, so there's no recommendation and no vote. So then we will proceed into the second item. Second item of new business is the Kaneland referendum update. Dr. Rolling, if you please provide some information.
Yeah, so last time we spoke, we had talked about gathering feedback from a variety of stakeholder groups. The team has been working hard to identify events and somewhat of a strategy. So beginning tomorrow, actually, we start with some of our community outreach. We're attempting to address the community in a couple of ways. One, through attendance at school-based events. So on the back of the sheet, you will see a series of events. These are events that draw in members of the community. At those events, we will be having essentially a booth. We don't want to take over the event, but we want to be there for people. Hopefully people approach us, talk to us, ask questions, and provide feedback. We're also meeting with groups of community leaders, such as the Chamber of Commerce. We'll be meeting with the CAC in order to get information from them. And then finally, we are scheduling 5 town hall events, the first of which is tomorrow in Montgomery. So everybody watching at home or in the crowd, please come. It's going to be really boring if it's just me standing there talking to myself. So we wanted to try to get out into the community. For the Montgomery one, we chose to do it at McDowell Elementary just because of where McDowell is in relation to the population center that we serve. The other ones we will be hosting at municipal buildings. Since the publication of this, we have actually scheduled the Elburn and Caneville town halls, and they're on the 29th and 30th. Mr. Chavez, do you remember which one's on which date?
Yeah, we have Maple Park, Monday, October 21st. We have Elburn, October 30th, and Caneville, October 29th.
And we're still working with Sugar Grove to get one scheduled there. Additionally, we will have a virtual town hall. We're waiting to get the Sugar Grove one scheduled before we schedule that virtual one. But our goal is to get out, give people information, field questions, get their feedback, and try to get as much, touch as many people as we can through that. Moving on, in terms of working with our staff, we have scheduled meetings in all of our buildings. The high school is a couple of days because of the size. We actually had the opportunity to meet with 4 of our departments on last Wednesday, and we will meet with 4 more departments this coming Wednesday, meeting with the staff, getting their feedback, hearing what they have to say, and also having them fill out a survey for us. And then finally, we'll be working with our students. We're not going to do it this week. It's homecoming, and nobody cares about our survey during homecoming. So we will be pushing that out next week, asking our high school students to complete a survey about the facilities, and then seeing if any of them are willing to participate in some focus groups. So as you can see on the back of our sheet, we have an aggressive timeline in October, and our goal would then be bringing information to the board in the 2 meetings in November and possibly the first meeting in December to help inform and guide a potential referendum question. What questions can I answer for you today?
Dr. Rowling, what are these, like, for example, at the Boo Bash at Kaneland Blackberry Elementary, what will the referendum interaction look like there?
Yeah, so we are, we're gonna have some big, like architect boards
Okay.
that have some of the imagery regarding some of the potential things, potential projects. So one focused on the high school campus because it's its own animal there, right? One that shows the whole district and some of the potential projects throughout, and one with some financial information. We also will have, we're working on getting a traveling screen to show, keep our slideshow that we'll be doing at the town halls, just kind of on a loop.
Okay.
And then we're gonna be manning it with people from our referendum committee to answer questions and to try to get people to come over and talk to us.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Other questions?
For these town halls, well, and for all these events, but specifically the town halls, what's promotion look like to get people out there?
Yeah, so we are, we're using all of our internal avenues, using our website, social media, the nightly news. But also, Mr. Chavez is working with the local villages to get that information out through their vehicles too. So sending out a flyer to each individual community, trying to elicit people to come. When we meet with the Alberta Chamber of Commerce later this week, we're going to bring some of those with us too, asking them to post some of them in their stores if they're willing to try to get that word out. And then working with anyone we know in those communities to maybe try to drum up some interest also. If you have other ideas, I'd love to hear them. We are asking the communities to work through all of their normal avenues to try to reach people that maybe aren't attached to the school.
Any questions?
Any other questions? And if you're at the homecoming parade, my truck will be driving around with our administration team, but we'll also have a QR code. Feel free to snap it and send us your information. Look for Large Marge.
So in terms of the process, just real quick, so you guys are going out there, you're getting all this information, and essentially you'll bring it back to the board, kind of compile it and say, this is what the community's told us we want, and gives us a little bit more of a picture of what we, the feedback you've gotten at this point.
Yeah, our goal is to bring back both survey data, more numerical survey data, whatever percent of staff said this, whatever percent of community members said this, but also bring back some more like qualitative data from the conversations. So as we went in the departments last week, we had somebody from our team taking notes while the other person kind of drove the conversation. So we have those notes, and then we also asked teachers to fill out the survey, so we have a series of survey results too. So our goal is to bring back both, the numbers and the story.
So once we kind of get all this together, we will decide, kind of what avenue we take, what projects we should probably take on. I know we have a long list of CapEx projects that need to be done.
Yep.
Pretty much either way we slice it, which is going to get pulled into this one way or the other. And then there's obviously some additional stuff. Once we kind of get to that point, then we'll actually be able to start putting some dollars and cents on this stuff, and then kind of have, punch lists for projects with the dollars associated with it. And that's at the point where now we're going to go out and start promoting the referendum with this information, as well as any kind of behind-the-scenes tax implications for the residents. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once the board, we'll look to the board to, essentially we have this list of needs, right? And it's a big spread in terms of the possible amount of money. So we'll come with the information, and through the conversation, the board will make that decision. Once we've nailed that down, the actual question and the actual projects, then we will start our informational campaign, but hopefully be able to engage a vote yes committee through the community.
Yes.
To help promote it also.
Perfect. That was kind of going to be my next step. I know I'm a little bit in front of my skis on this, but
That's okay.
I also think that's the big thing too. Once we get past this initial phase, what is the big promotional point? How are we going to get it out there? How are we going to get everybody on board, excited? From a staff perspective, to even the different athletic groups and everything else like that. I know when we start banding together and we all, have passion for something, we can get this community going on it. So I'm glad we're already in the thought process.
Yeah, anyone that ever indicates at all that they might possibly be interested in a Say Yes committee, I write their name down so I can reach
Okay.
out to them later.
Perfect.
And I would imagine our spring calendar this will be just page 1 of our spring calendar. I imagine it will be an aggressive timeline too.
Awesome. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well, please, and I'm going to look at the camera, please come out and engage with this stuff, because the last referendum, I know that I personally had a lot of interaction where people felt like either they weren't heard or, we made these decisions without input, and this is the time to come forward and say this is what we want, because we are representing you, and so we need to hear from you guys. What do you want? What don't you want? And how can we proceed forward to build the community in a better, build this for the community out of what the community wants. So please, 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 do what you can to engage, mark it off on your calendars, and help us get there, so that we can do the right thing do right by our kids and our community. So that's my soapbox. All right, there is no action on this one. As well, it's purely informative. Thank you, Dr. Willing, and thank you for all the hard work you've been doing in this.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
And I want to point out, it's not just me. We have an entire team. Dr. Bogan, Mr. Chavez, Dr. Horn, Ms. Cattell, Dr. Layden, Mr. Payton, in addition to a variety of other people, have really put in a lot of time and effort on this. So,
Yeah, thank you to
It's a
all
team
of you
effort.
for all your efforts.
We'll make
if I
sure we share
forgot
that back
somebody,
with
I'm sorry.
All right, well, with that being said, that's the end of new business for tonight. We will go ahead and proceed with the superintendent/board report, and I will turn it over to Dr. Layden.
Yes, thank you. I have a few. The first one, the Facilities Planning Committee was scheduled to meet on October 24th. We are indeed going to cancel that meeting. We sent a note out to the committee members to see who could attend, and only one of our committee members that are a non-Kaneland staff member indicated that he would be able to attend, and he's also on CAC. And so then on the 24th, we also have CAC. So the topic for the 24th, as Dr. Rowling shared, is going to be a lot of the referendum information. So that Facility Planning Committee member can then also attend CAC and get that same information. So one of the things we're going to do with the Facility Planning Committee is we came out of COVID, CAC, the foundation, and FAC all kind of floundered a little bit with numbers, but those have all come back up again and are more stable. But the FPC is at about 3 community members that have struggled to attend. So we're going to re-envision what the FPC could look like, maybe a survey, maybe just some feedback to find out what we can do, how we can engage community members, or maybe even use some of the referendum planning to see who might be interested in learning about that, and then have that be how that committee maybe kicks back off again. So we're going to explore that. Dr. Rowling, Dr. Bogan, and myself will explore that one, and when we have more information on what the FPC might look like moving forward, we'll share that. Another committee update. On the 8th, we have our foundation. Speaking of another committee, our foundation is scheduled to meet on October 8th again. We do not have a board member who's representative on that group, but any board member, of course, is able to attend. That's one of our others that we have coming up. A lot of that conversation will be around continued fundraising, what the foundation will look like moving forward with our golf outing canceled for this fall, scheduling it for next fall and getting that back on to generate additional revenue, because again, through the foundation, the primary beneficiary are teacher grants. We traditionally tried to do about $10,000 per year, and about 9,000 of those are grants. The other 1,000 goes back into the fund balance of the foundation. So we'll try to get that up and running again. And then the last thing that I have is just a reminder, on Monday the 14th, we have no school, which would typically be our next Board of Education meeting. So there is no school due to Columbus Day, so our next board meeting is on the 16th, which is a Wednesday. And those were my 3 updates.
Okay. Dr. Rowling.
I just want to provide an update. We had a Kaneland Connects committee meeting last week. It was a vibrant group. We had quite a few faces from the crowd today. Quite a few parents and staff members came, provided feedback on the strategic plan. Some of the action items provided us some opportunities for action, and so we'll be reviewing those and reporting back out to both the board and that committee.
Great. Thank you. Dr. Bogan?
Yes, I have two updates. One you heard a little bit of, it's just a track update. As you heard last week, the track surfacing officially began on the 25th, and so that first layer is almost entirely down. They do anticipate either tomorrow, if not by Wednesday at the very latest, that first layer will be down. The contractor is fully aware of, homecoming this week and the game on Friday, and so they will be coming back next week to finish that top layer. Mr. Rollman has purchased some protective mats that are down so that people can walk across, and so we are set there. Mr. Payton, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, is also working with Mr. Rollman and scheduling another meeting with the coaches just to go over the final painting details and striping, just to make sure that everything in the plan is set and how everyone envisions it. So that's happening. The paving contractor has also just about completed the punch list of items that Mr. Payton and the engineer identified, so that's wrapping up very quickly. And then I'm also happy to report that the fencing around the pond over by KMAC and the gates are now complete. So just from a safety standpoint, that was another big piece. As this project continues, I do really want to acknowledge just all of the hard work and collaboration that has taken place to move this project forward. Mr. Payton, Mr. Rollman, Mrs. Cattell, all of the coaches, and all of our community members have spent many hours dedicated to this work alongside Gaywalt Hamilton, the engineers, as well as Abbey Paving, the main contractor, and the track surfacing company. So I just really want to acknowledge that. It has, every question that has arose or every challenge that we've had, they've really worked as a team to keep this moving forward and on schedule and on budget, and so that is just so much appreciated. We're going to continue to monitor this, and as we have further updates, I will be continuing to share those with everyone.
Thank you.
Any questions on that one? Okay. The other update that I have is the insurance committee met last Thursday, September 26th, for the first time this school year. The committee is co-chaired by Patty Reeder, the chief negotiator for the Kaneland Education Association, and myself. Mrs. Reeder and I developed this first agenda with the input of not only our broker at Horton, but also Mrs. Barb Bradford, our benefits administrator. At the meeting, Horton provided a review of our 23-24 plan performance, as well as a population health claims review. And then they were also available to answer questions for the committee. Mrs. Bradford provided a benefits wellness update, and it included reminders about upcoming flu shot clinics happening at each school, as well as the dates for the FY25 open enrollment, which for everyone is August 15th through November 4th. And then Mrs. Reeder and I shared an update on the Kaneland Employee Benefits Trust Fund, or our KEBTF fund balance. And then we also shared items for possible future discussion, and we took notes on the committee interest in topics, so that can help guide the creation of our future agendas. And then last but not least, the next insurance committee meeting is October 17th. We'll meet again. And that's all I have.
How's the fund balance? Is it?
So our fund balance currently at the end of August, as of August 30th, was just over $2.3 million. And to put that a little bit in perspective, we're a self-funded plan. And so for a plan of our size with the number of enrollees that we have on it, we'd like to see that closer to about $3.4 million. And we've slowly been making gains. So just for some history, the same time last year, we were at $1.2 million. And so we've seen the fund be able to steadily grow, and that's a combination of, small increases in premiums, but also our claims. We've had fewer high claimants, large claims over that stop loss, and fewer numbers of claims that are sort of, below the stop loss but above the $50,000. So we've had some good months. We do anticipate, and we shared, September typically is a month where we see a lot of claims because as people are coming back to school and things like that, eye doctor's appointments and all those physicals and all those things that you sort of just need to take care of on an annual basis are starting to come in. And then we'll see most likely a dip again sort of in late November, December, because your deductible, resets January 1st. That's another big time that we see. So it's all very cyclical, but we've seen steady gains over the year.
That's good news.
That's very good news.
Good news.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Is that it?
That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Ms. Slatter, you're up.
We probably took all your homecoming information, didn't we?
Yeah, I stole
With
a
all-
little bit of my thunder there.
Sorry
but
about that.
it's okay. Good evening. Entering into this week, varsity football is now 4-1. They beat DeKalb High School 42-7, Ottawa High School 49-20, and lost to Morris, but will bounce back against Sycamore on Friday. Last Tuesday, varsity volleyball beat Rochelle at their first home game, along with representing teachers. Each varsity player got to bring one teacher on the court and represent them and show how much they care about them. They also held a invite this last weekend and went 4-0. On Friday the 27th, clubs and sports representatives traveled to Kaneland Elementary Schools and Middle School to show school spirit for this week's homecoming week. Student Council has come up with Spirit Day themes for each day, going with the homecoming theme of A Night in New Orleans. Those days include today, Monday, night in versus night out, with senior sunrise being before school. Tuesday, Double Trouble Down South, which is essentially Twin Day. Wednesday, class colors along with junior versus senior, powder puff after the homecoming parade in Elburn, which Mr. Rollman mentioned. And then Thursday, Southern versus City, and Friday, go out all out in Knightswear with the homecoming game against Sycamore with the theme of white out. And then that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. That's it for the board superintendent report.
No, can I share one other item?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Just as a reminder, we do have our board retreat for self-evaluation scheduled for October 23rd. So Dr. Rollwing, myself, and our representative have a meeting set up with President Gonzalez. I think it's later this week, just to kind of put that agenda together, and it's from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I can send another calendar invite or a reminder if you want. It will be hosted here, and again, it is a public meeting that we start in public, but then move right into closed session. So it will be a regular posting of a meeting, but hopefully 2 hours and 57 of it is the closed session from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, talking about the retreat. And so if you have items that you'd like to discuss as we try to put together the agenda, or as we do put together the agenda, send any topics that we have talked about, whether it's board norms, board goal setting, anything that you would like to have as part of that discussion, we can make sure that we preload the time to include all of those topics. So if you can get those to Dr. Rollwing or myself in the next 2 weeks, that would be great as we put that together. So that was my last one, sorry. I promise it's my last one.
Okay. Okay, then we will proceed into topics for future agendas.
The whole issue of the elementary curriculum, or the lack thereof, has really bothered me over the past 3 weeks, and it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, because just not acceptable. So I think we need to put that on the agenda for a future meeting.
Yeah.
And not just a presentation on it, but forward whatever they have for the curriculum. I don't want a presentation. I want to see what's there in the curriculum now. as opposed to what some high-performing districts are doing and what's going on with that. I'm talking to parents who are saying they're having to do a lot of reteaching or plowing a lot of new ground that should have been addressed. Okay? Number two.
I want to make sure we have a consensus on that first before. Yep, no, that's fine.
Can I maybe add something to it?
Sure.
I don't know about you guys, it would be beneficial to me if some of that stuff could come before the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So I could maybe look at it beforehand to wrap my head around some of it, right? I know what my kids are doing, but I don't necessarily know what all the levels are doing.
Right, and to see how the curriculum articulates from grade level to grade level, which is, I mean, it's basic stuff, it really is. I mean,
I agree wholeheartedly. I was going to bring this up as well. There's a little bit of a gap for some of us who aren't in education, where I feel like we do need more information, you know, and so I get where you're coming from, but also I think I would need, whether it's beforehand or after, I would need a better understanding of the whole focus. That way we can arrive at, because you guys are in it. You've been in the weeds of it. You know. But for some of us who aren't doing this on a daily basis, in order to make the best decision, we need some of that information.
And it allows us to have a discussion with educators or in elementary school. The focus here, at least for right now, I see in elementary, particularly the language arts, mathematics, and science. I really want to see that. All right. And I want to be able to have discussions with the teachers to circle around and because listen, I've been through systems where the curriculum was top down, rather Stalinistic. You will do this and we will check up on you. We will make sure you comply.
Right.
You know, and well, no, and it was. I think it helps us both from a quality education in that primary level, which is so important. As well, I think it helps us, I know for a fact, based on my experience, it helps us with the teachers, with certainty, with knowing that their input is valued as well, based upon what they're seeing in their classrooms.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that not only I think we should have the KEA's voices involved, obviously, I mean, they're the bread and butter of this, but I'd also like to know what do they need from us, right, so that we're not an obstacle in their way, but a pathway for them to get what they need, right? So I would love to hear what they need from us. What do they need us to say yes to? What do we need, what do they need from us, right, to support them?
That we're in partnership.
Yeah.
And in particular, to get input from special education.
Sure.
And because I have seen well-done curriculums in some interesting places where students who may have a learning disability like that, where the quality of the curriculum or how it's implemented and delivered in the classroom makes a huge difference in outcomes and learning for those students.
It needs to be collaborative. I mean, like you said, we want to move the needle, but in a way that we're working with those that are in there doing the work and supporting them, not delegating, but supporting. How can we support you to get that needle?
Board Member Mankivsky, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
No, I was going to say, I know that you had a second one too, unless there was more.
I have a second one.
Okay.
Given budgetary, I think we need to take a look at some of the fixed costs, particularly in communications, in internet and some of the electronic services to take a look, are we getting the most bang for the buck? And for what we spend, are there better options are there better options that work better for administrators, teachers, like that? Is there, can we squeeze something there? And I'm not looking only at cutting, I'm looking at, can we get better for that same amount or for less? Given how, because the last review, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but from, my poking and probing, was about 4 or 5 years ago. Technology of 4 or 5 years ago, who still has their cell phone from 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, I think that's my, yeah. And it's not to be critical, it's just, there's so much more, I believe, we could be offering to our staff, our administration, and most importantly, our students, technology-wise. Both in the electronic part as well as in the software, the applications.
So real quick, if I could circle back, did we get an official consensus on the first one?
We did.
For the curriculum?
We did.
Okay, we're good on that.
Yes.
So now the second one.
I think on top of that, because where we're at with our deficit, we're required now to actually come up with cost savings initiatives, correct? And I don't know if you were gonna present on that anytime soon. I think this is in addition to that, obviously a specific request for the IT point. But I think in general, we do need to start talking about cost savings initiatives and what we're gonna do future state so we can start to shave down this deficit.
This is one couch cushion we should be looking
Yeah.
at.
Yep, agreed. I just wanted to make sure that was all encompassing too, because there's obviously a lot of other factors too that we could probably be looking at to save some dollars.
Is there a consensus
I know
on the
Dr.
second topic as well?
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure. Okay.
You've been looking at that, right? I swore we saw an email saying that you guys are putting a team together.
Yeah,
on that.
we've started having discussions around
That's what I thought.
that deficit plan. So we should be bringing back some information, probably beginning in
Yeah,
December.
the first piece will be shared in November when we bring our capital projects for summer of 2025. And then you'll hear more of that as we get into 5-year financial projections in early December 9th. And then that conversation will continue from there all the way up until we get to tentative budget in June. So
Was IT already a part of that or not necessarily?
everything
Yeah,
is a part
everything's a part of that. So
everything.
I like that. That's the right answer.
So to circle back real quick, because as a topic for future agendas, is this something we're going to have our own discussion on, or do we wait until the plan's been presented and we're encouraging them to focus on that?
I think we start looking now. We haven't, technology and the quality of technology services available keeps moving forward. And we're still stuck 5 years ago, where we were 5. And so I think it's worth a look, both in terms of cost, but I'm also looking at the quality of what's being provided for our students, what's available to them in support of learning. Could be,
Well, to include on that could help us also with our referendum, because if there's a technology part to the referendum of, like, our teachers don't have smart boards, they don't have things that other schools have, and if there are things that we are missing technology-wise that our teachers need, we need to make sure we have that. They might not know what they don't, they might have their wish list, and, and if there's things, we look at other schools and they're, they have certain technology opportunities that we've just failed on because we just haven't had the money to do it. That could be something that could be, brought up into the referendum too, of like, hey, this is the technology piece. For us to take it to this next level, this is what we need.
Right, as well as how the technology interrelates to our special ed population. And what's available, what I used in my classroom 15, 20 years ago has been totally turned on its head, and there's a lot more opportunities to have a really good look so that the technology works for that segment of our student population and those who teach them.
For me, I'm having trouble wrapping my head because we're going to be going into this, looking at a, you know, I don't want to say purely, but there's going to be a cost-saving focus. And
Correct.
so, you know, as we're having this discussion, I envision it as cost savings through efficiency. So maybe we have to spend at this level to gain efficiency and therefore have long-term savings here, right? Is that where we're going with it?
Part, but let's take that one step further. Is it possible that we've been missing out on bang for a buck in that our last technology review was, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 years ago? And I'm not being critical of anyone in it, because on a day-to-day basis, it's tough to just maintain the way, how it is. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, effort, and I know our technology director has been scrounging for some really good equipment.
He works his butt off to get grants too.
Oh, I know he,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Tim Wolf,
My hat's
Yeah.
off, my hat's off there,
Yep.
but see, having been in a special ed classroom for as long as I was, and having used both really good technology and kept up with what's going on out there for, you know, segments of our students who are served, have special education services, as well as for the gen ed rooms. It may be we get more bang for even less bucks. It may. It's worth a look and tailoring our technology for the needs today.
When you say technology, you talking hardware, you talking software, you
I'm
talking?
talking primarily on the software side.
Okay.
Because the hardware is, we have what we have. We get what we get.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we, you know,
Just wanted to clarify.
I'm taking a look at both software as well as how it's delivered. Like, some districts are providing Wi-Fi, free, you know, mobile Wi-Fi for their students.
Dr. Bogan, do you have questions or just
Yeah.
clarification?
Well, I just want to clarify. So I think the 5-year historical piece that you're referring to is about that time, 4 or 5 years ago, the district actually worked with a third-party vendor called Spyglass that came in, and what they do is they do a review of some of the services in the billing that you're talking about. And so they look at communications from, you know, they'll pull all of our wireless bills and see if, you know, that company is charging us taxes unnecessarily or fees that as a school district or public entity we don't have to do. They look at all of the software, they look at licensing, they look at all of those things. And at that time what they found was we couldn't really realize any cost savings because we were already at that time kind of getting the best deal that we could.
Right. And that very well still be the case, but that was 4 or 5 years ago.
Correct.
It's worth another look.
Okay.
That's.
Sure.
We haven't seen Tim in a while. We'll make him come.
And I will say, like, on an ongoing basis, Tim Wolf does review, you know, those things, our contracts, you know, whether it's with Verizon or, you know, whichever company provider that we're using, those are looked at. I think it also sounds like maybe you want more information on not just that, but electronics, like where we're purchasing from, is that something also interested? Because I think maybe not having some of the most updated is truly a budget constraint, not necessarily a.
Yeah, I'm
Cutting-edge
looking
technology.
more on the service and software side.
Okay.
Because the hardware for us, it's what we can afford.
I think we have several lease agreements out there, like, we've got stuff going on, right, like, yeah.
I think it's worth a look.
Do you guys have enough to go off of based on this to
If we need more,
proceed?
we'll seek clarification as part of the process.
And I think, given the depth of the curriculum, it's probably more than one presentation, to make it a little more digestible, you know.
Well, if the software technology goes hand in hand with the curriculum or the delivery method of the curriculum, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about as well?
It can, it's, yeah. In some places, it's really well articulate and really seamless between the two.
Okay, well, we have a consensus on that one.
Yes.
We have, at least at this point, enough information to proceed or, and/or follow up, so.
Yep, and if we need more information, we can send something out, whether it's a topical survey or something. Yep.
Okay.
So I have both of those down.
Okay.
For topics.
Anything else, guys? No? Okay. Well, it's time for the second edition of public comments. No? All right. No one is signed up at this time. With that being said, we will go ahead then and proceed into the closed session portion of the meeting. The Board of Education is scheduled for a closed session to discuss Illinois Open Meetings Act 2C1 and 2C11, where there will be no action taken following the session. Therefore, after the vote to go into closed session, the recording of tonight's meeting will be concluded. At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss Illinois Open Meetings Act 2C1 and 2C11 at 7:12 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye. 7-0. We are now going to proceed with closed session.